Hey, nonprofit marketing nerds. I'm going to go ahead and double check. We should be live on YouTube and LinkedIn, but let me go ahead and double check. If you are here live, go ahead and comment in the chat box. Let me know what your role is and where you are located. Okay, and I see we are indeed live on YouTube. We are live on YouTube. And if you are live with me on LinkedIn, go ahead and let me know. Yep. And here we are live on. Something went wrong. If you're here on LinkedIn, let me know. The joys of technology. I'm looking forward to nerding out with you about solicitation letters. For all of you that sent me your solicitation letters, thank you so much. And we will be workshopping those live. Again, if you're here, let me know your location and what your role is. And if you sent me a solicitation letter, looking forward. Hi, Diana. Good to see you. If you did send me a solicitation letter, looking forward to nerding out about those live right here. We have Diana from Uganda joining us. Thank you very much. Compassionate Women Initiative. Looking forward to hopefully providing you some valuable advice on how you can level up your nonprofit solicitation letter or annual appeal, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So before we get started, I want to take a step back from the workshopping of the annual appeal letters and talk to you a little bit about what is an annual appeal. For a lot of nonprofits, this is the one and maybe only letter they send out to their donor base that's asking for a formal donation. And first, if you're thinking about ditching the annual appeal, and maybe someone on your board said, well, we could just send an email instead. Don't do it. Okay. So I'm here spending time. And if you've been following along, I nerd out a lot about annual appeal letters, donation solicitation letters, because they work if done effectively. So what I'm going to do, there are a lot of different things we can talk about related to annual appeals, how to do the mailing, who your mailing list should be. But today we are going to be taking a step deeper and actually live workshopping some donation solicitation letters. So again, drop me your location if you are here live, and looking forward to hopefully providing you some valuable advice about how you can level up your nonprofit marketing, storytelling, and fundraising, especially online. But today we're going to be talking about that good old-fashioned print mailing the annual appeal. Okay, and I will say be patient with me with technology as we, let's see, go a little bit deeper. So again, thank you. I know it's scary to send an annual appeal. A couple organizations did send me theirs to workshop. One I did privately. So what you'll see here, I am going to be actually workshopping and providing some valuable feedback on some annual appeals. And what you'll see here is that I did mix up, so you don't know who sent me some, who I found via Google. And actually, one of these letters I wrote back in the day myself. So you'll get to see me workshop my own work. And let's get started. Okay. So we have the Friends of Larchmont Public Library. So I like to say that for any kind of marketing piece for nonprofits, you need to write for lazy readers. So right away, these are large blocks of text. Before we even get into the content, these are large blocks of text that, because it's not left aligned, it's center aligned, or whatever that alignment looks like, it's difficult to read. So if you're drafting a solicitation letter, my recommendation would be to left align. And though the more big chunks of text, the less likely people are going to read it. So even if you're providing valuable insight, no one's going to bother reading the wonderful content you want to provide them. So overall, with this letter, I'm going to quickly read through. Again, I haven't looked at these. These are live workshops. Overall, with this letter, I would say that it needs to be left aligned. It needs to be less text overall. And unless those people this is something that probably was really important in the 90s and early 2000s, and now everyone's doing away with it. But especially if you're annual appeal, the whole list of officers, the list of board members, if you're writing a political letter, maybe, but if this is really truly a letter to your donor base, you're wasting valuable space listing people that the recipients might not know. So I would scratch that whole left column because it's taking up space that could be used for more important things. Ouch, that there's a Gmail email right at the top. But overall, I'd say this is an okay-ish letter. In terms of fundraisability, if this letter will raise money or not, I'd say this is like a 3 out of 10. I would give this maybe a 3 out of 10. The one thing they're doing very poorly here, the officers and directors of the Friends of the thank you for everything. I don't care. I want to, as soon as I open the letter, to be grounded in a place or a story and do something that moves me. This is a very rational letter. It also explains in the bottom paragraph all the different ways you can donate. Don't do that. Any annual appeal letter should be sent out with a old school remittance letter, or what I'd like to do, which are custom cards, where they have to actually opt out of giving a donation. So this, again, is not the strongest solicitation letter. And I would say not only, so you can see it smaller here, the formatting is off, but it doesn't really have the right messaging, and it's rational, not emotional. When you're writing a solicitation letter, it really needs to impact your heartstrings, not your brain. And if you give too many options, people don't know what to do, so they do nothing. So you want to have a direct one piece of information on what the call to action is in your letter, and then an easy way for a donor or potential donor to fulfill that call to action. So because this gives a couple different options, like if they really wanted to donate, they're going to find a way to donate, but you need to give them the best way to donate, which typically is put the check or put the money in the letter. And for someone like me, if I've already thought, oh, I want to donate, I'm going to go online because I'm a millennial. I'm going to go online and make that donation. But if you're reaching someone that would prefer to write a check and that's how they give, as soon as you say this or this or this or this, they don't really know what to do. They might do nothing. So again, not the strongest solicitation letter, but I hope some of that feedback is going to help you level up your next annual appeal letter. Moving on to the next letter. Before we move on, I would like to hear from you. I see we have a few people live right now. Thank you for joining. I would like to hear from you. What do you want to know about solicitation letters? I'll answer anything. And if there's any feedback I give you, so what do you want to know about solicitation letters? And if there's any feedback I give you that you're shocked by, please let me know. Okay, and the next letter, and I do apologize for anyone that I do apologize for anyone that might be on this board or perhaps wrote this letter. I would give this fundraising solicitation letter, I think I gave the last one a 3 right off the bat. And again, not my first rodeo. Right off the bat, I'd give this one a 5. They do list the founder. I would say it's a little bit redundant for the Sandra Day O'Connor Institute founder, Sandra Day O'Connor. That's wasted space. I think it depends who the mailing list is, whether I would give this letter a 4 or 5. So if the mailing list for this annual appeal letter only goes to the 10 closest friends of each person on the board of directors, then maybe this is a strong letter. But again, that's a 5, not a 4. So strong-ish letter. How could this letter be reapproached? When you look at the content, again, it doesn't even say who it's addressed to, like friends of Sandra Day O'Connor Institute, potential donor, hopefully a mail merge with a first name. But if none of that happens, the formatting's off with no name. We launched. So the way this could be redone is if you take, like right now, I'm like, oh, the 7th and 8th grade students of a new camp, a civics camp, like how cool is that? But now I have to use my own imagination of why that's cool, how that's cool, why it's a good thing. I want to be grounded with one of those 7th or 8th graders in their transformation. And I really hope that in that top third above the fold, there is a picture instead of Sandra Day O'Connor. There's a picture of one of those 7th or 8th graders. And then I hear a story of transformation. about the civics lesson they learned, and maybe even a way like they implemented it. Only through the specific can something become universalizable. And right here, I would say there's a huge missed opportunity in not grounding in the impact of that newly launched civics camp with a specific story of transformation. I do think if you have the right donor list and that story was done, which it wasn't, but if that story was done, I think that would go from a 5 to a 7 in this letter. Now, again, I would recommend scrapping that whole column, unless those are the most important people in the world and I just don't know them. Telling a story of transformation. I do love the, here we go, that the signatures at the bottom. That's solid. I'd like to see it in blue. I hope it's a real signature. But that is a great use of space. The worst thing you can do, and actually I've seen 2 people post about this in the last 2 days. The worst thing you can do is waste any font that you put on a solicitation letter. It needs to be meaningful. And don't waste any space by listing that you're a tax-exempt organization. They should know you are. If they don't, they can check your website. That is not a reason someone is going to donate. It's just not. I don't know who got in the habit of doing that, why people do that. It's the worst use of space. It's visually distracting. And again, you'll see here that there are a couple different asks. There's a couple different call to actions in one letter. And so I would tell the Sandra Day O'Connor Institute to scrap the multiple calls to action, choose one call to action, which is to donate. Don't say it's tax deductible. They're going to know it is if they know your organization. Information is vital to the partisan life works of the organization. And then ask. So here they inform that it's tax deductible. They inform that it would help, but they don't directly ask. And you need to make a direct ask. If some of these things are new information to you, make sure to download my annual appeal solicitation letter checklist, where I go through all of the ways in which you can level up your annual appeal letter. Again, I think I'm at 7 right now. I said 6 last time. I think I'm at 7 solicitation letters where an organization has come to me and I've helped them raise 10 times more money with the same mailing list. 10 times more money just by following some of these best practices. That checklist is jam-packed full of all the strategies that I've used to raise 10 times more money for organizations. It might seem strange, but it's these little tweaks that are going to not only increase your response rate, not only increase your average donation rate, but get some donors, especially those mid-tier donors, to, if you really are telling a story of transformation that moves, to maybe add a 0 to their donation. And that's what you're after. Okay, and for the next letter, we have Kimball Union Academy. Right off the bat, super solid that they have pictures. Love it. I like that the signature is there. That's great. The formatting is spot on-ish for this. And I love that the branding is simple yet reinforced. Those are all positives of this letter. Overall, I gave the last letter, I believe, a 4/5. I'm going to give this one it's not quite a 7. Let's call it 6. Great that they use pictures. Great that it's branded. This is my alma mater, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'm going to donate anyway, and maybe won't read it. Like, this is going to reinforce that this is projecting strength. I love that it's a letter from a recipient of whatever the donation will be for. What I'd like to see is that person that signed it, like maybe only his picture or all pictures of different experiences he's had that he references in the letter on the left-hand side, instead of just these great and warm photos. I never want to see a picture of just a bunch of people that I have no context, and I want to see some faces closer up. So literally, they could take these same pictures, zoom in a little bit more, show more humanity, and possibly tug at the heartstrings a little bit more just through those images. If you dig a little bit deeper, I would probably, that quote's pretty chunky. I would choose more information on that quote. And yeah, it's still like this super generic, again, only through the specific, and you'll hear me say this over and over again about storytelling, but storytelling is what gets people to donate and what gets people to care about your organization. We always say as nonprofit people, if people only knew, well, you need to paint a picture so they can have that same warm and fuzzy you have. And that's what a solicitation letter is for. And this letter, the reason it's not an 8 or 9 is because it misses the mark on the warm and fuzzy. Like, I don't really feel anything when I read it. Seems like a rational letter. So I would ground this story like 10 times deeper in a specific student, in a specific story, in a moment of transformation. And then it also misses the mark in that there's no PS at the end that asks. So I would like to see, I know for you people live, I'm going to ask you a question and I'm going to force you to answer for, I'd love to hear, what did I just say that surprises you? That you're like, that's new information, or, oh, that's shocking. I thought this was a 10 out of 10 letter. What's shocking to you? I will give you a couple more seconds to let me know. What is shocking to you here? Okay, and while I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit more so you can read it. Oh, sorry, wrong way. I'm going to go ahead and let you look at it for a second, and I'm going to move forward to the next letter. But again, this might look super polished, and people might think it looks professional, and it does. It doesn't move me, and that's what it's kind of missing. Okay, so jumping the other direction, here is a great, if you can read it, let me see. Here is a great letter. This is a wonderful story. It tells specifics. Can't post comments to some destinations. Okay. I'm learning my technology. It is a great story, but I'm actually going to give this a 2. Let's give it a 2. The worst thing you can do, and you'll hear this, like, I don't think we need to treat our donors as if they're not intelligent, but we should not confuse them. And here, this appears that this story is embedded in maybe the back of a newsletter, and we're shocked that we're not raising money this way. Now, this even is labeled annual fund appeal. So it should be super basic. And maybe they have a really targeted mailing list and they know people are just going to donate because they care about their organization. But why I'm making this even lower than some of the others is because I believe if I can read that teeny tiny text, that this is a wonderful story. This is a transformational story. This is a story of impact. This is the stuff. This is the good stuff of solicitation letters. The images, the transformation that I can kind of get just from the pictures. And if they had cut the copy in half, if they grounded it in place, and if they got up all that other junk and sent this out as a letter, I think they probably could have raised, I'm going to venture 10 times more money on this same thing. If they'd done it the right way and followed, again, the strategies that I've used to raise 10 times more money, I think they could have taken the same story and instead of cramming it all in and then putting it in the back of a newsletter and then crossing our fingers, they could have told a story of transformation and then directly asked, because again, I don't even think we need to read this to know. It looks like it's a story of transformation. It looks warm, but I can't even tell what the transformation is. Even if I were to read it, and again, I'm not, even if I were to read it, I would say that, how can I put it? It's too much information that lazy readers or people that aren't super, super invested right away are going to stop reading and not even get to the call to action. We want to make it an experience and a simple story that only takes up 1 page, that's easy to read, that means legible size, font, and spacing, that has tons of white space. And this is not that. So the reason I'm grading it so poorly in terms of fundraisability is because this is a great opportunity and they misuse the content. Again, if this is your appeal letter, keep up the great work. I think you can even probably repurpose the story and get a lot out of it, traction out of it. But I'm sorry, but I have to rate this letter as a, in Japanese say, ganbatte, like good luck, better luck next time, try harder. Okay, here, look at all that white space. Whew, I feel like I can breathe. I think I went through some, not trauma, but like mini trauma with that last letter. This is, right now I'm going to give it a strong 7. Let's even go with 7.5. This is the basic structure that has a PS, it has a signature in blue, it has clearly this is who the recipient of, not the recipient of the donation, but like this is someone that's benefiting if you were to give a gift. We change lives, you make it happen. I love that you're engaging me as a donor in that direct thing at the top. So if I'm opening up a little, I feel invested in reading more. Super solid, super solid. How does it miss the mark? Again, I didn't give it a 9 or 10. I do love that it's a PS that reinforces the donation ask, but it still doesn't have the goosebumpy. Now, again, if you download my checklist that you can find on the nonprofit-nerd.com website, it's a free solicitation letter checklist on all the strategies I've used to raise 10 times more money through our annual appeals. If you download that checklist, you'll notice one of the, and if you've heard me talk about storytelling at all, the goosebumps test is a big deal. And that's what really, really people that are great at fundraising, we talk about relationship building. If you're great at fundraising in an online space, you have perfected the art of storytelling and really of helping others experience what someone who is directly there during a moment of transformation might see. So this fails the goosebumps test. I don't even have to read that much. Someone telling me I was transformed and my life was better doesn't mean anything. You need to show and paint a picture of that transformation. So again, I think this is a solid-ish letter. Nobody's going to add a 0 to their donation, but I think this is a solid-ish letter. It has some of the key structural pieces, the strong branding, the picture. I would prefer it to be on the top third, so that someone that's opening it up, that's super lazy reader, is driven enough to want to open up the entire letter. There's some formatting stuff at the beginning. At the top, I would see differently, like it's wasted space. But overall, like the PS, like the signature, I hope it's hand signature. And I wish, yes, so it's better to do mail, not email. Yes, if you have unless you have a huge, I'm going to jump to that. Unless you have a huge digital presence and relationship already with people that are regular online givers, 99% of organizations, I would recommend to send that annual appeal letter. Typically, people start sending it out usually the week before Thanksgiving, anywhere to like the second week of December. So like until next week. It should go in the mail. And then I always say 2 weeks later to send the same story. You want those donors that receive it in the mail to feel really special. So they need to get that content first. And then you could repurpose that content for email. And I can run through kind of the specifics of it, but your response rate and your average donation, you're going to raise so much more money sending it via letter than sending it via email. So yes, it should be via mail as a print thing. And you got to spend money to make money. It is an investment, but trying to get my stuff to understand pictures need to help. Yeah, it's the biggest, honestly, with pictures, it's the biggest, I don't know if issue is the thing, but barrier nonprofits have is, especially for me, I've worked with a lot of youth families, reentry population, people that don't want to get pictures taken, undocumented individuals, that it's difficult to get pictures, but any pictures, literally, I always say, like, you can even get a picture of, even if it's not a face, like the back of a head or a hand, something that like shows the humanity of the organization. And I would argue, even if you're a nonprofit that's grounded in place, like architecture or parks or nature, to still show the humanity and the impact it makes on a human. Because at the end of the day, as nonprofit people, it's all about humanity. Even in an environmental standpoint. So pictures are so important. Okay, let's move on. Any other questions? Again, if you're joining late, I see we have a couple more people that have joined. Please let me know, where are you joining from and what organization you are fundraising for. Where are you joining from? And what organization are you fundraising for? And I am going to show you, let's see, I think two more letters. Okay. This might be our last letter we're workshopping. So now is your chance. If you do have questions about anything related to end of year giving, annual solicitation letters, I am live here. We have a little bit more time. I know I blocked out 30 minutes. We have 5 more. Now's your time to ask some questions. So let's go ahead and look at this last letter. Right away, compared especially to the organization that had crammed all of the, probably minimized the font to like 9.5, 0.98 spacing just to make sure to get all the copy in. This looks very readable. If I have experience, I would probably overall, let me look at it real quick, give this letter still not a 10. How about an 8.5 though? I love that, again, one of my rules is the top third, that there is a picture that invites someone in. I will say with this one specifically, the lady in the orange really drives me to want to like, oh, what's this about? And probably her authentic laughter, even if I didn't know neighborhood care center, would make me want to open the letter and see like, oh, what's that lady about? Okay. Tom and Jane have never pictured living without money. There, I think, is a picture of Tom. There's a picture of Tom and Jane. Love it. I know who, if I write a check, is the recipient or maybe representative recipient. If I were to donate to this organization, love it, love it, love it. We are Neighbors Helping Neighbors, Neighborhood Care Center. I like the branding here. I do like the extra space. It seems easy to read. Again, one of the things we recommend is to write for lazy readers. And this definitely, I want to call myself a lazy reader. I am, if you know me, I am. This definitely is easy for lazy readers to quickly scan and then see how it is. Please donate to help a neighbor in need. Cody. Okay. So again, I would give this one an 8 or 8.5. I hope that a remittance letter that's also branded, that's custom to this is in here. Now, what is this organization missing in the solicitation letter? Again, it's missing a PS. I'm hoping that Cody is hand signing it. It's missing a PS and then a reinforcement of the call to action. The other thing this is missing is if this letter is at this level, I would hope there would be segmented asks that are more specific. It does seem like transformation. I'm not quite sure that it's grounded enough to make it goosebumpy, but it maybe is like goosebumpy borderline. Like it's the closest we've seen in solicitation letters to goosebumpy. Again, it's a challenge to do. It's an art and a craft. Storytelling is an art and a craft. And this is getting closer than the letters we've seen thus far. So overall, 8.5, especially if it's hand signed and has a remittance letter attached. Again, thank you so, so much for joining me today to workshop annual appeal letters. If you haven't already, I do have a video that if you're on YouTube, you can check it out up here, that goes through the strategies I would recommend that if you really do them, you will raise 10 times more money, maybe 8, maybe 10, maybe 50 times more money. I know we've seen that happen where you get a lot of donors. If you tell the right story, they will add it, and it definitely passes the goosebumps gut check that they will add a 0 to their donation. So if you are ready to level up your annual appeal letter, please go ahead and download this checklist on the nonprofit-nerd.com website. That's in the freebie vault, and you'll also get the link below. And if you have any other questions, feel free to subscribe and follow along as I continue to nerd out about all things nonprofit marketing and storytelling, especially online. Have a great day.